Shalom. First and foremost, going to give all glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostle and elders, great millstone. All right, just ready to get into this quick lesson. All right, on Ezekiel, 36. I'm going to do a full chapter breakdown on this, And today we're just going to hit, 1 through verse 10, all right? So this is Ezekiel, and this chapter right here is about to come to pass. All right. So this is Ezekiel 36:1. Also, thou, son of man, prophesy unto the mountain of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. All right, and we know this is talking about the people. All right, because you go into the previous chapter, it talks about Mount Seir, all right, talking about the people, all right, Esau, all right. So these are the words for Israel, all right, and the elect of Israel at that, Thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shah, because the enemy hath said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in the possession, all right, yeah, the enemies, all right, the people that's, in our land right now, the land of Israel right now. All right, even to the people that's, fighting for the land, the small hats, all right, or, the Jewish people, all right, that's not their land, all right, that's the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We have just been, taken out of the land, because of our wickedness, all right. Let's get something real quick. It's our fault, Zechariah 9:6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. All right, that says a bastard. All right. So, who's that bastard? The heathens. All right, shall dwell in Ashdod. All right, where's Ashdod? That's a city in Judah. All right, so our land. All right, they have in their possession. All right, we don't have possession over it. All right, but we're over here. We're scattered. All right. As it says in, James 1:1, how James greets, let's get that real quick. Just a quick point. James 1:1. James, a servant of Yahweh Shem Shah and of the Lord Yahushai Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes of Israel which are scattered abroad, greetings, all right? So we were scattered abroad, all right? Let's get to this word scattered real quick. Diaspora, a scattering dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations. So see, we're not in our land right now. All right, we're in Babylon, aka America. All right, we're in Mexico. All right, we're in, China. We're in, we're all over the place. All right, because that was. Let's get something else real quick. Slack, give me a second. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 63. Just as the Lord has found great pleasure in causing you to prosper and multiply, the Lord will find pleasure in destroying you. You will be torn from the land you are about to enter and occupy. See? For the Lord will scatter you among all the nations from one end of the earth to the other. There you will worship foreign gods that neither you nor your ancestors have known, gods made of wood and stone. See? There among those nations you will find no peace or place to rest, and the Lord will cause your heart to tremble, your eyesight to fail, and your souls to despair. So see, it was a curse that, that we have been scattered, all right? That we're amongst these foreign nations, all right? Nations that hate us, heathen nations that hate us, all right? That's why, we're here in Babylon the Great, aka America, with the gas stations around us, with the so-called Arab man, in control of it, all right, selling you what? Chemicals, basically, all right? Things to kill you, all right? If these heathen nations loved us, or was cool with us, they wouldn't do no shit like that. Just sell us whatever, So that's how this ain't our rest. All right, as it says in Micah 2:10. It says, "Arise and depart, for this is not your rest." This place, America, Babylon the Great, or wherever you're at as an Israelite, this ain't our rest until Yahweh Shah, beams us up on that chariot, all right, and brings us to our land, So like, verse 3, Ezekiel 36 and 3. Therefore prophesy and say, thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shah, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up in the lip of talkers, and are in infamy of the people. Yeah, these heathen nations, all right, they all are, here, let's get this. Get a couple precepts. Psalms 83. All right, they all are consulted against or together, to keep us down. Psalms 83 and 1. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh Shem Shai. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, and yeah, we don't want the Lord to hold his peace at these heathens. All right, because look, if we keep on going down this path that we're going, how life is going, the so-called white man just ruling, being able to do whatever he wants, hey, we're going to be, as a nation, we're going to be destroyed. We're going to be exterminated, Verse 2, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hated thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So see, and how they seen that we, are, was down as people, that the Lord, brought us down, and they played on that, They're like, oh, we could. So now that the Lord ain't dealing with them, hey, let's make sure that, the Lord stay not dealing with them. So we're going to, distract them from who they are, all right? We're not going to allow them to read, the Bible, all right? We're going to teach them basically how to be a nigga, You could read the Willie Lynch letter, all right? So they're all, these are the so-called Edomite, or it's not so-called Edomite, the so-called white man who is Esau, all right? The so-called the Chinese man, Moab, so-called Japanese man, Ammon, all right? They're all, in one consent trying to keep us away from Yahweh Shem Shah, but they couldn't do it because it's an elect, it's an elect that that was destined to wake up, destined to wake up, all right, out of the darkness, and as it says in Isaiah 10 and 20, let me just get it. Isaiah 10 and verse 20. And it shall come to pass that in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote him, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. So see, the remnant, they're going to wake up to who they are, all right, and rely on Yahweh Shem Yahushua instead of the so-called white man, instead of these other heathen nations, all right? Because who's the one that smote us? Esau, the so-called white man, all right? So, hey, y'all did everything y'all could to keep us down, but hey, prophecy is going to take effect no matter what, no matter what you try to do. All right? So what else point what I was trying to hit? Ezekiel 36 and verse. Yeah, they swallowed us up on every side. So yeah, I got the point that they're all, in one agreement to keep us down. All right? Let's get something else. Revelation 11. Revelations 11 and verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. So what is this talking about when it talks about dead bodies? All right. It ain't talking about literal. It's talking about, us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in a spiritual dead state. All right. Scriptures talk about he that wandereth out of the way of an understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. All right. So, without the truth, hey, you're likened unto a dead person. All right. You are dead. All right. The commandments, the law, statutes, and commandments, that's life right there. And us living without it, us living, contrary to that, we're on the way of death. So, and that's what we was doing here, all right? Before this truth, hey, we was living, wicked lifestyles that Yahweh Shem Yahushua hated, all right? So we were dead to the Lord. So it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Yeah, our Lord Yahushua, all right? They painted him to be a so-called white man, all right? They painted him to be, a soft-spoken, loving man, that loves everyone, They don't give you the real description of Yahushua. That he's an austere man, he's a man of war, all right, and he only, he's about his, father's business, all right? And being about the Father's business is not being for everyone on this earth, but for but for the elect, and to render judgment unto the wicked, But it says which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, all right? So what is this place talking about? That great city, America, all right? When it says spiritually, let's get the word spiritually real quick. Spiritually, it says right there figuratively, all right, or spiritually, all right, because they put off the same acts as Egypt and Sodom and Gomorrah, all right. From the rigorous, all right, work, or rigorous labor, from the sodomy acts, all right. It says, verse 9, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. That 350-year period, all right? 1619 to 1969. All right. They, the heathen nations, all right, they watched us be in this dead state. All right. They didn't tell us that we were the true biblical Israelites. All right. That's what it means when it says, shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. They didn't let our souls rest, but told us we were black and we were born of apes, that you're nothing, all right? They told us, they told all that to so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? Verse 10, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another. What does that send gifts one to another? That's talking about, the heathen nations, all right? What's the word? No, not that, but basically selling us off to each other, Oh, you want a Negro here? Come get a Negro for this, Or you wanna Indian, come do this, all right? Or come get, let's trade this, for him, So yeah, they was rejoicing that we were in this, lowest state, and that they could just keep us down. It talks about Lamentations too. All, how they clap, they hiss, all right? Basically, rejoicing, all right, taunting over us, It says, because these true prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh Shemel Shai entered into them. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them, which saw them. All right, so after the 3 days and a half, that 350-year period, all right, Yahweh Shemel Shai, woke us up. All right, starting off with Elder Abba Bivens, all right? And then now on down, from Apostle Tor, all right, from the apostles, the elder bishops, all right, the elders, all right, onto, me, you, all right. We've been woken up, all right, and, the Lord commanded us to go out there in the highways and byways and preach this word, all right? And guess what? The so-called white men, the elites, the ones who orchestrated this, or who's keeping this, how can I say, who's keeping us at a low state, in effect, they see us out there on the highways and byways, like, oh shoot, they know who they are, and that makes them scared, because they understand that Yahweh Shemel Shai is about to come with great destruction, about to destroy them, So yeah, that was just a quick point, that hey, these heathen nations, that they, rejoiced over us, Yeah, I'm gonna keep on going. Ezekiel 36 and verse 4. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai. Thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Yeah, we just totally destroyed here. Babylon the Great, aka America. The heathens just kept on, just pounding down on us, You look at the condition of us so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we're basically packed up like sardines in a house, all right? The family structure is all fucked up, all right? You look at our women, they're all through, and, because, hey, Esau, even so-called white man, pushes us to be basically a destroyed nation, Keep the woman hoes, and keep the men, gang banging, moles, all right. But guess what? There's a elect, all right, that won't be swallowed up, you know. Verse 5, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahbashim Yahushua, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Yeah, they, Idumea, the Greek word for Edom, or how you say Edom in the Greek, all right? They're in possession of our land, all right? And look what they do in our land. Gay parades, all right? They don't worship the Lord over there, all right? They worship more of themselves than the Lord, You look how the people them people move over there. They're complete weirdos. All right, humping walls. All right, biting biting the foreskin off the infant's part. That's the shit that they do over there in our land. All right, and they call themselves the people of the Lord. But that's totally opposite. You are the people of who the Lord will have, indignation forever, Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Babylon. All right. Babylon, because Babylon, aka America, all right, is destined to be destroyed. All right. And is destined to have a great deliverance of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the elect. All right. And his purpose that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. All right. So least of the flock. Who's that? The small hats. All right. The Jewish people. All right. They're going to draw America into war. All right. So to the point where America and Israel, is going to be destroyed. But the thing is, America is going to be utterly destroyed to the point where only doleful creatures are going to live there. There's going to be no, humans inhabiting that place, But the land of Israel is going to be destroyed, all right, and rebuilt up by you heathens, all right? So Ezekiel 36 and verse... Oh, yeah, I got one more, too. It's lucky. Zechariah 14 and verse... I think it's 12. 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. All right, and we know all the heathen nations, all right, as it says in Psalms 83. All right, they have fought against us, all right, the apple of the Lord's eye. All right, so the Lord got a very, he has a controversy with you nations, especially Esau, even so-called white man. The Lord called you out. You so-called white man multiple times, Isaiah 63, Isaiah 34, It says, their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. All right, so what is this talking about? It's talking about, the nuclear destruction, all right, that's going to happen here in Babylon the Great, aka America, all right? It's going to happen over there in, here in Babylon the Great, aka America, all right? It's going, these people are going to, how can I say, while they're standing, that fire is going to engulf them, all right? Their eyes, their tongues, all right? It's going to all, disintegrate, It's all going to disintegrate, walls standing up. All right, the armies, all right. It's all gonna, they're all gonna, be destroyed, by this fire. All right. Verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. So see, the Lord's mad now. All right. Verse 7. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I have lifted up my hand. Surely the heathen that are round about you, they shall bear their shame. All right. So the heathen, hey, it's about to be a turnaround. All right. Let's get some Psalms 35. Psalms 35 and verse 22. This thou hast seen, O Lord. Keep not silence, O Lord. Be not far from me. Stir up thyself and await to my judgment, even to my cause, my God and my Lord. Judge me, O Lord, my God, according to thy righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Who's them? The heathen nations. Let them not rejoice over us, all right? That they got the nation of Israel in their hands, all right? And we're totally subject to them. We want the Lord to, destroy them, on our behalf, And that's what Yahweh Shah is about to come and do. All right? He's about to take down the nation's armies, all right? As it said that he had many crowns upon his head, So Yahweh Shah is about to take down all these heathen nations, all right? Verse 25, let them not say in their hearts, so we would have it. Let them not say, we have swallowed them up. Let them be ashamed and brought to confusion together that rejoice at my hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor that magnify themselves against me. So see, and yeah, they're about to be clothed with shame, all right? They're going to, it talks about how in Wisdom of Solomon 3, I believe, or Wisdom of Solomon 5, how they're going to see us, be delivered, and they're going to, talk amongst themselves like, dang, let's just get that. Matter of fact, let's get it. Wisdom of Solomon 5 and verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him. And we're doing that now by doing these videos or going out there on the highways and byways, preaching the word. All right, telling those so-called white men that, hey, you about to go down. You had us in subjection. Now the Lord is about to take you down. It says, and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all they look for. So they're not gonna expect us to be getting beamed up, So when they see us getting beamed up in the chariots, what the world ignorantly calls UFOs, they're going to be like, wow, they're going to be troubled, in their spirits. They're going to be like, wow, we fucked up, basically, And they, repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. We fools account to his life madness and his end to be without honor. So, see, they thought we was just going to be niggas, all right? They totally got us, they devoured us. Nah, but once they see us being delivered, beamed up in the chariots, all right, our bodies, changing, they gonna talk amongst themselves, be like, damn, we fucked up, These are the sons of the living God, Verse 5, how is he numbered among the children of Yahweh Shem Shah and his lot among the saints? See? So the heathen nations are about to be clothed with shame, Ezekiel 36 and verse 8, but ye, O mountains of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. All right. So yeah, after the heathens are taken down, When Yahushua come back, hey, we're about to be good. Get beamed up, get them new bodies, all right, and then everlasting blessings, you know. We're going to be increased in every aspect, all right? We're going to be blessed in every aspect, you know, from our land, you know, from our children, our woman, all that, you know. For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown. Yep, the heathen nations are going to till, you know, our land, all right? They're going to build up our land, all right? And guess what? They're gonna work the land, or they're gonna, you know, gather all our crops, you know. What's that? Isaiah 60. Isaiah 60 and 10. And the sons of the strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath have I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So see, the strangers, all right, the heathens, all right, they're going to build up our walls. It says, and their kings, all right, so the ones that was, you know, in a high position, you know, a king position, all right, they had people over them. They was saying, you know, they was telling how, or they was, you know, ruling the country. Guess what? They're going to be our subjects, you know. They're going to be servants, all right. But let me get something else too. It might be Isaiah 61. Salaki. I was just reading it yesterday. Forgive me. Ah, man. Ooh, let's get this. Isaiah 54 and 4. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded. For thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth. All right? We're going to forget as it says, the former things are passed away. You know, it talks about how we're going to, you know, so we're not going to you know, all of our tears are going to be wiped away, basically. All the pain is going to be gone. All right? And we're not going to remember, you know, this age that we're living in right now. All right? Because of the blessings that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to be putting upon us, you know. It says, and shall not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore. Yeah, without Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because what is a widow? A woman, you know, without a husband, all right? You know, or a woman who has, just get it because I want to make sure I'm right. Fuck. the state or period of being a widow or widower. Come on, man. The hell was that? It's saying fuck with my shit now. Yeah, my phone about to die. Shit. Salakia. Yep, so typically her husband dies and she has not remarried. You know, and we the one that fucking, you know, died, basically. You know, but yeah, the Lord left us, you know. Shit, my phone about to die. Alright, so we were considered a widow. You know? The Lord likens us to a woman, you know? So back in Ezekiel 36 and verse 10, and I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the wastes shall be builded. So see, we're gonna be blessed as a nation. All right. We're gonna have a lot of, you know, because the elect is the only ones that's gonna, you know, make it to the land. All right. And then that, you know, once we're there, we're gonna have a lot of sex there. All right, to bring back the nation. All right, because 2/3 of our people are gonna be cut off here in Babylon the Great, aka America. You know. So we got to bring back our nation, you know. It talks about our woman is going to be as a fruitful vine, you know. They're going to be popping them out. So that was pretty much it, you know. Hopefully, you know, this lesson was edifying. Going to give all glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash, double honors to the apostle and elders, great millstone. All right, shalom.